What's up, everybody? This is B.S.S, and what we're doing our Oscar award show where we're talking about all the movies nominated for Best Picture. I got my boy Santo, Random, the lovely but irritating Shar.
What a stray, bro.
Top rope.
Our boy Hellfire might join us later if he can, but yeah, we painstakingly watch every or most of the movies for some, but I watched every movie that was nominated for Best Picture.
Overachiever.
Oh yeah, it was Overachiever.
Well, he is the host. He should watch all of them.
Yeah, that's right. And I gave everyone a criteria sheet, so we're gonna be talking about the cinematography, wardrobe, plot, acting, best scene, of course, pacing, message of the movie, entertainment value, characters, and then we're just gonna talk about the film and how we feel about it. And then at the end, we're probably I'll give our rankings for like the top 3 or 5 and see if we can come to a conclusion. Well, what should win Best Picture? I have one. I have some that I feel like should not, but we'll dive into that. We'll dive into that. So, how's everyone doing?
I'm surviving.
Good. Yeah, quick, how was the grind for watching all these movies?
For me, as you know, I didn't make it across the finish line. I was close, but it's tough. It's tough when you have 2 kids, man. It's tough.
It's tough when if you read the synopsis on it and you're like, I don't know if I'm quite in the mood to watch that kind of movie right now.
What I like about this year's nominees is that most of them touch on themes that either that aren't acknowledged enough or not talked about enough, or at least not talked in the way that they should. American Fiction, with how the black culture is, how would I say, sold as some type of entertainment to other cultures and other races. We don't point of interest, how we don't talk enough about Auschwitz and like the Holocaust in the ways that we should, and like how that emphasized the horror of it. Holers, we don't talk about family dynamics as openly as we do with people because family stuff is usually taboo. Barbie, with how women are treated in a society. So it's like, I feel like a lot of these movies cover different areas that we should really appreciate, because a lot of these movies did take risks, and I feel like they should all be commended for that, at least. Now, some of these characters in these movies, some of these characters are gonna get walked. I'm sorry. This is B.S.S. We get into it. Some of these characters are getting roasted. So, any other thoughts before we start?
I mean, for me, it was tough. I watched every movie but one of them was on the plane. So that was I just passed out on it, and I feel bad. But at least I'm gonna say for American Fiction in particular, there was a reason why I also waited. Besides the fact that the trailer didn't move me, but there was also another reason why, and we'll talk about it when we get there. But it was fun because I don't really watch a lot of movies anymore, if that makes any sense. I just kind of watch limited series. There's always more anime out and anything like that. So to kind of sit down and just watch these movies again was fun. Ironically, there was only one I only got to watch in actual theaters, which I'll never regret that decision because it was fantastic. But it was fun to go back and dive into the movie space again.
Yeah, I personally have always loved movies, and I'm a big indie movie person because I feel like they touch on different, unique stories. And yeah, I've always just been into like deep diving and dissecting movies and their messages. So thank y'all for doing this with me. But I want to start off fun, so I want to tackle Barbieheimer. So ladies first, what did you think about Barbie, Shar?
So going into it, I didn't have high expectations. I mean, I quite literally only went to see it because my niece wanted to see it. Mm-hmm. And like halfway through the movie, I'm like, this is low-key kind of fire. Like, they're hitting all the points that they need to. Like, it's it's like kid friendly, but it's still like got it's like adult like underlying messages that like is gonna go completely over a kid's head.
Right.
But like the adults are gonna get it. Because there was a couple things they said, I'm like, excuse me? And then I look at my niece, and I'm like, oh, you didn't understand that. We're fine.
So I want to touch on like the cinematography and the wardrobe first. So the cinematography was great, along with the wardrobe. A lot of it was like when you were in the Barbie world, how it was like a set and everything. Like they made like non-lifelike things very lifelike, while keeping it very like on theme, which I appreciated. Like they made things like pop. Did anyone feel similar or differently when it comes to that?
I think they really did a good job in the use of color, because that's actually like a really big thing in videography. Their use of contrast, shadows, and colors were actually very, very well done. Yeah, like it was filmed very, very well. Their set design was actually to me it was very interesting, seeing how like the houses
It's Barbie Dream House.
They made it look so simple, but it's like
I know.
They made something so hard look so simple. Like they made it just look like a different reality, but it was like not mind blowing, like out of this world. It's like you could see it, but it was still different.
What
Like how
they fit. So I played with Barbies growing up, and like they literally looked exactly like the Barbie's dream house, like the saloon, like everything was like very on par for what they actually looked like. It's like they literally took, okay, here's the original Barbie dream house. Okay, how we're gonna make this into a set. We're gonna take all the elements from that. They matched like all the houses like perfectly, and even the cars.
Right. Another big part of the cinematography when Barbie was having her realization or whatever, and like they had the Billie Eilish song playing in the background, and you saw the different colors and everything like that, like the green, the yellow, orange, everything was around her, how it was just shifting while she was realizing. I thought that was like a really well done scene. The pacing to me was really steady. Like it was good. Like everything like transitioned well. When it comes to like the entertainment value, to me it was like an 8 or 9 out of 10. I don't know if anyone felt differently, but it was just a good. It touched like deep themes, but it was like still you enjoyed it throughout the whole thing. Did anyone have like any specific characters they love? Because to me, say what you want. Alan's the best character. Alan's the best character. You can't tell me he hasn't killed somebody on the low. You can't tell me he hasn't killed somebody on the low.
No, I would say when you talk about the entertainment factor, and this might just be me, but not to say that I don't like what's going on now in cinema, but I really appreciated the hour and 54-minute runtime. Like it's just a quick let me enjoy it, let the movie hit its points, and let me get out. Like everything now feels like you need 3 hours to really flush out a story. I don't think that this movie left anything on the table personally. I think it hit all its notes. I think it did exactly what it was supposed to do, and it got out. And I didn't feel like I was like waiting for something else. No, I got everything I wanted from it. And I think Ken was the best character, personally.
I agree with you, Santo. Maybe because I'm basic. And I think that I guess the toughest part about me when I approached the Barbenheimer situation was like, I wasn't the target audience for that movie. Like, obviously, I didn't even hear about Barbies until I moved to America. So it's not like I had that much like information on them. So when I approached Barbie, I was like, I can wait. And it was getting so much love. Like, they don't need my input anyway. But when I watched it, I think my thing was how pleasantly surprised I was by the movie. Like you said, Santo, the colors. I was so fascinated by how they just kept nailing the aesthetic. It's like every scene.
Yes.
And the fact that I think I mentioned it before we started recording, they nailed it on a lot of the casting. Like I I know we all talk about Ryan Gosling being a liability in Remember the Titans, but like he was perfect. It was like he was born to play Ken in a way. And I thought he was great. And every time he was on screen, I really enjoyed his performance. And I hate the fact that I was pleasantly surprised. And there was a lot of conversation that Barbie started afterwards in terms of women in cinema and things that could go on from there. And that's the part I avoided. But just the fact that I was looking, when I watched the movie, I was just looking to be entertained. And then I found myself, I had so much more fun. I got mad at myself I didn't watch the movie earlier.
So, to me, I can't say Ken is the best character because it's a Barbie movie. To me, Gloria was actually the best character. Ken, to me, yeah, the mom. Ken was the most complex. Ken was the most complex character, and I feel like his journey was definitely interesting because he felt unseen by Barbie, and he goes into America of all places. He goes to America of all places, and he sees corporate America. Basically, he just got the whole America experience in like 0.5 seconds after feeling unwanted and shunned. And he's what happens like when people's egos don't get tended to, or go ahead, Char.
No, so
Char had a face.
A big part of Ken's journey is finding their worth in someone else. Like that was Ken's whole issue. All his worth was tied in Barbie's opinion.
Right.
Because everything he was like, he only cared about what Barbie thought. He didn't care about how he felt.
No, I agree.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. No, he definitely, like, his whole life was about Barbie, and then he felt shunned. He felt shunned and unwanted by her, and then he saw America, and he's just like, "Oh, we're the top dogs around here." Oh, okay. And so, like, he absorbed and dove deep into that to like try to like get over his pain in a way and like get his own sense of identity, because I feel that's a big thing, especially in American society, that guys struggle with, is like their sense of identity. That's why they go so hard for so many different misogynistic things. But yeah, and then eventually he found his way out of the pain, and he's got he's getting his own movie, so hopefully he gets his own self-discovery journey and it comes full circle. But
did that harm any of you guys that they want to create this cinematic universe now? I did not like that at all. Well, I understand just because Marvel found a way to do it.
Barbie has its own cinematic universe to begin with. All the fucking Barbie cartoons growing up.
I understand, but
like probably
but now they're going live action. Just because Marvel did it, and when anybody who does like a deep dive into Marvel needs to understand how lucky Marvel was to even get as far as they have. Just because Marvel did it doesn't mean everybody could do it. DC rebooted what, twice? Just trying to kind of match what Marvel's doing. I think letting
they just
made movies to make movies.
One is too late because they already greenlit like 5 or 6 different projects. so it's too late. It's happening.
But that's the wave now. Even video games are doing that. I think Lies of P right now is its own universe now. Like they're bringing Dorothy into it, and so that's just the trend. Do I like it? Not really. Do I think this movie needs more? I personally don't think so, because like I said, it did what it had to do. It put its message out, and I think that should be it. But I think it's the money grab game that we're playing now in cinema.
I don't understand that. It's just a good way to hurt the IP itself.
I will say I find it ironically funny that how the message of Barbie was how women aren't seen the way that they should be, and how the director and Margot Robbie didn't get nominated for like the big awards.
Ryan
Gosling did.
I was outside eyeing, but the Oscars do that. They do that all the
So
time.
it's like a movie
let's
about.
talk about the fact that Leo didn't get an award for how long?
At some point they were trolling. They were trolling, and Leo was putting
They
out
stay
bangers.
trolling people for.
They were trolling. They were
it's
trolling.
They're like, oh,
like-
your movie message was that women don't get shit. Bet you're not gonna get shit.
Yeah, so the one male lead is the one that's gonna get the award. Like, to get nominated.
But can we be honest? We just went on about 10 minutes talking about this movie, and nobody mentioned Margot Robbie. Like,
I was saving
let's
mommy
be
for
honest.
last. I was saving mommy for last.
No, so
Save the best. Save the best.
I'm
for
not gonna
last.
pick the main character as my favorite character because obviously like the story revolves around her. But
Mhm.
I did enjoy that seeing her like realize that everything's not all sunshine and rainbows 24/7. And the whole world doesn't revolve around her.
I personally think that, of course, her character, the focus of her character and her story is very impactful. But in terms of acting, I mean, America Ferrera really
Gloria.
my bad.
The monologue.
Yeah, Gloria. Gloria and Kate McKinnon, like they stood out. I think Margot Robbie played her role. Like she did good, but as a standout for a nominee, I personally don't think it's okay.
With Gloria, she said like a few quotes I did write down because I felt like they were really important. When she said men hate women and women hate women, that was like, yeah, that's kind of society. And when
that reminded me of the grind my gears Peter Griffin thing, when he just straight up went off on like how women like to tease for like I don't know why I thought of that, but when I just started thinking, and then I went on YouTube right after to like watch that segment again. I don't know why, but I just started laughing when I heard that.
And to me, the best scene was Gloria's speech because her monologue, because I wrote some of it down when she said how it's like impossible to be a woman. You have to be thin, but not too thin. Not say you want money, but want money. You can't. You have to act bossy, but not be mean. Have to have answer to men's behavior, but if you do too much, you're complaining. Can't be pretty that you threaten other women. Too contradictory. Can't like it's impossible to be a woman in today's age because you can't do. It's too contradictory. It's too contradictory, and you have to kiss everybody's ass. And I'm sorry, have you met Char? Char don't kiss nobody's ass, but Leo's. So
shout out to
I
Leo.
don't know how you do it because I'm sorry if I was put in like women's shoes in today, I'd start the rumbling immediately.
It's weird how you always run to the rumbling as your like immediate threat.
Because Aaron was right.
Just run. He's like, you always see those gifs of like somebody wants to mess with Megumi from JJK and he just starts threatening Maharaga. And I'm like, all right, bro. Like that's your immediate threat.
I'm sorry, the rumbling would solve so many of my problems.
It's literally just wants to see the world burn at this point.
Absolutely. No wonder you like Alan. You be liking just
a villain
watching
at heart.
you like I get it.
All right. Did anyone else have a different best scene?
No.
John Cena.
He's great, isn't he?
Dwayne Johnson would never. I love that John Cena doesn't take himself too seriously. And it shows that he can do anything. That to me was my favorite scene.
All right. Any other final thoughts before we move on to the next movie?
You are Knuff. You are Knuff.
Also, he's performing at the Oscars. He's singing "I'm Just Ken" at the Oscars.
You're fucking lying.
No, he's performing.
He's the perfect Ken.
He's great.
He's the perfect Ken.
Oh
yeah,
god.
He's also the perfect Noah.
Okay, so
reliability at cornerback. Can never trust that boy to cover an out.
All right, so the other half of Barbieheimer, Oppenheimer.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
10 out of
I'm a
10.
huge history buff, and
Same. I'm obsessed.
So the reason why I was so gassed for Oppenheimer was because of Dunkirk. Dunkirk was like, I've always heard about it, but you never saw it, and then to actually watch it, I watched it on Netflix, and when Oppenheimer came out, I was like, I need to watch this in theaters, because that's the one thing I regret about Dunkirk, and it did everything I wanted. Learning about a part of American history that you kind of see it, like they gloss over it in movies, but to actually see it happen, and obviously having Christopher Nolan do any movie, I'm like, I'm in. So I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. This was my favorite movie, but I'm wholeheartedly biased because I love history, and especially parts of history that are not been covered. I love history.
So talking about let's start off with the cinematography. What did you guys? I mean,
it's Christopher Nolan. What are we talking about?
What was it perfect about the cinema? Because I went to theaters to see it. Like
I went to go watch it on like a Wednesday morning, and it was by myself, and I loved it. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I'm just here for me and this movie, and I loved it. What did you not like? Did you not like it? Did I like the cinematography?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
No, I loved.
I thought you were.
No.
Concerns.
Oppenheimer is a 10. Don't get me wrong. Oppenheimer is like 11, 12 out of 10.
It's a masterpiece.
Also, side note, because this is like my first movie review thing. So like down the road, if we start getting really famous with this, and I start going to movie reviews, I love anything that Florence Pugh is in. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm biased. So anything that Florence is a part of, I solely support. So hot take, she was the best actor in that film.
Thank you. Talk about it.
Do I mean it? Do I mean it? Right now I do, because now I'm thinking about Florence Pugh. I mean it right now.
No, I mean it in general. She stole that show. Like it was.
Her character reminded me of too many exes though. So
yeah, you like think? You fucking think, Lani?
I
don't want you, but I want you. But I'm gonna fucking kill myself if you leave.
Exactly. Like, we all been there, bro. So I feel bad for Mr. Oppenheimer, because he was going through it. Those toxic ladies, they hard to get rid of, bro. They hard to get rid of.
She loved him, but she hated him.
I know, and it's
that
toxic thing. It's addictive. It's addictive.
No, you just get.
I love you. I hate you, but I love you. Like, how many flowers were thrown in the trash?
Of people. Can I just have some peace, please?
He's like, I'm married now. I got a family. Can you leave me alone?
Please give me some peace.
No. She's like, you're just gonna leave me by myself? Oh God.
By the way, also weird thing, I love they kept kind of like the continuity going, because Cillian Murphy was just like a side character in Dunkirk, and then him kind of getting the starring role here. I love that too. And it's kind of crazy because we're just watching this guy. They turned this into this amazing movie about a guy who's creating something that's going to kill millions of people. And I just didn't think about that. I was like, this is awesome. This is an amazing movie. And then when I left the theater, I was in my car sitting there, and then I was about to turn my car on, and I just sat there. I was like, oh my God.
So,
oh my God. How could you do that to me, Chris? I just straight waved that. I just straight waved over that, and I hate that about myself.
So wardrobe, I'm also giving it a 10 out of 10, but the overall plot, I feel like sometimes people differ about like the meaning of the movie. So like, I just want to see like what everyone really got from that movie, because everyone like, or not necessarily the plot, like the message from that movie, because I feel like people like walk out with like different thoughts.
I think for me, at least what I got out of it is that you can't be neutral in life in general. Like, he wanted to create something to help society, but really didn't think or take into account what he was actually doing at the time. Like, he didn't question morality or anything. He was just neutral on everything. Like, yeah, I'll create this, but they're doing that, and it was like, I didn't see the internal struggle that he was dealing with until after the fact. That's when his eyes were like open to like, oh my goodness, this is what I did. And to see his character go from somebody that really didn't take those factors into account to really understanding the choice that he made and what he did to help society while actually making it in some tense worse. Like that to me is what stood out. It's just a guy going through, like, discovering morality was for me what I got from the story.
Sure.
I would agree with that. Because the whole time he's sitting there like, oh, well, I gave them the pros and the cons, and they just went with it anyways. It's like, no, you need to actually like stand firm. Like, no, this is a bad idea. We shouldn't do this. Instead of being like, oh, well, some of us think we should maybe not do this. Like, he could have ended the project at any time because he was the one in fucking charge of it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was really big on thinking like, I'm making society better, but it's like, yeah, you made society better because you ended World War II, but in the long run, I mean, here we are 80 years later with nuclear war looming over our heads at any time because because he created that bomb.
Well, so kind of going back to thinking at the time was that it felt like there was this race where we have to build it before.
It was the Cold War.
Yeah. We have to build it before the enemy builds it. So the lack of long-term thinking is what I think really messed with me the most, is giving humanity the ability to destroy itself at any time. And if you go look through history, like the fact that I think a lot of people never gonna remember, there's a guy during I think it was during the Cuban Missile Crisis. It was in a Russian sub off Cuba. And there was a moment where they had all these flags where, oh my God, I think their computers malfunctioned and it started like America started World War III, and that guy just didn't. He just said no, or else we wouldn't be here right now. Just because you want to end something, you have to think about what happens afterwards. And after it was done, after 2 Japanese cities were gone, millions of people unaffected, the world changes. How you fight war changes. It always bothered me that they never thought about the consequences of making something like that. Like, for instance, Joseph Gatling, the guy who made the Gatling gun, he made the Gatling gun as a way to, like, it was so destructive that he thought humans were going to be like, this is so crazy, we're going to stop here. But instead, people were like, took it and just ran with it. And so he had the complete opposite effect. And I'm glad that obviously they realized that this is too much, so they never went further. But there've been plenty of times in history where the button could have been pressed. Hell, General MacArthur, the hero of the Pacific Theater, wanted to use nuclear bombs in Korea. It's just that I believe it was Truman fired him, or else he would have done it, or else he would have wanted that to be done. So it's just giving humans that kind of power, and eventually the Russians were going to find out about it, and they're going to be like, we don't want them to have the power. It's just like the long-term, the lack of long-term thing is what really messed with me the most. Just because, I gave them the pros and the cons doesn't mean that you're like, what's the best way? If you're a parent, like, hey, don't touch the stove because it's hot. Sure, okay, I gave my kid the pros and cons, but if they still touch the stove, don't be shocked that they still touch the stove just because you did it. You have to actively get them to not touch the stove, or else you deal with the consequences. That's what always bothered me.
Right. To me, similar to you guys, like, we're the makers of our own destruction always. Like, not just like in terms of life, period. A lot of times we have goals or we strive for things, and the repercussions of it, we always think about later on. Like, whether it's sacrificing time with our family, sacrificing time for ourselves, or giving up something, like, we always think about it after the fact. When he talked to Einstein about how he felt like, oh, I did end the world, because in a way he did, because he saw what he created eventually will most likely be how the world ends. And you have to think about yourself, like, are your goals always worth it then? Because if Loki, if he could take it back, he probably would. Because he just knows, like, yo, I'm good. He felt at the time when it first happened, like, yeah, I'm like I created this ultimate thing. Like, it fueled the ultimate god complex, but at the same time, when you're up when you're up on that high horse and you're God, you also realized, oh shit, I can end everything. And so to me, it's a lot of it was about human greed, because we always strive for things, we always try to one up each other, and at the same time it's like a snake eating a snake type thing, and eventually it's gonna just get eaten up, period, and there's not gonna be nothing left. And so I thought they did a really great job of showing what happens when you go too far. That was it for me. Did anyone have like any entertainment value? Music was all 10 out of 10 for me. Did anyone have like any quotes or anything from the movie that they wanted to say?
Talking about the score, like the music that they used, I think they did a great job with silence. Like, there were different times, especially like when he was giving his speech, like that quiet and that soft rumbling, and then that big crescendo of sound. Like, when movies do that, like, it really highlights like an importance of a scene. And I think throughout this movie, I think his name is Ludwig. It's some German name. He did the music for Creed, Tenet, Venom, Black Panther, and stuff like that. He really captured the seriousness of the bomb going off in that speech. It was, I say it's top 2 right now of all these movies regarding score. I think that to me was impressive in the movie.
And if I didn't say, my favorite scene was like when he, like, after the first test was successful and everyone was clapping for him, and then like he saw what he saw and everything like that. That to me was like the best scene, because that was like the realization is like, oh shit, I fucked up.
Yeah. And what's really great about this movie is that it really didn't focus on the bomb going off. I think it did a really great job in keeping Oppenheimer as the focus of the movie. Of course, it was
easily gone that way. You could have easily gone.
And they just specifically just focused on him, his internal dilemma. I mean, of course, the bomb being created and going off was like kind of the point of the movie, but I think keeping the focus on Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan did fantastic keeping that as its main focus.
And we could talk about Killers of the Flower and Moon Neck. We're gonna make this one a little bit fat because it was a great movie. I just got beef though.
I
got beef. Because apparently it's all based off a true story. So Ernest Burkett, the guy that Leonardo DiCaprio played, I just need the ones. I need to run the ones. Because Molly deserved better than you killing her whole damn family for some money, bro. Like,
and trying to kill her, giving her the fucking.
Ooh. I love the movie. The cinematography was great. They really captivated Native American culture and everything like that, and like the times.
Oh, yeah, 1920s, perfect.
Yeah, 1920s. They really captivated that. The characters are what got me. Molly is an angel. No one deserves a queen like that. Nobody. She knew. What pissed me off though is that everyone, like her sister told her from the beginning, he's only interested in you for your money. And she's like, I know, but he's cute.
That's so crazy.
That was dumb right there. That was dumb right there.
That's that pretty privilege, man. That's that pretty privilege, bro.
She's like, everyone wants my money, so like,
might as well find a cute one. All right, bro. That's where you picked a nice guy and you rode with it.
He had a nice guy, and he had the what they call it, the depression, the fucking Indian guy. When they try to kill himself, and they ended up making him her first husband, the Indian guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was nice.
He was nice, and then he ended up killing himself.
No, he didn't. He did not end up killing himself.
Oh, yeah, no, he didn't end up killing himself. He ended up getting shot.
They couldn't even make it look like a suicide. Shoot him in the front of the head. I shot him in the back.
But I thought the plot, well, since it's based off a real story, the plot was amazing. I don't know how they got away with it for so long, because it was like a years-long plan of killing her whole family just so like the money would move from sister to sister eventually to her, and she would have everything. Then they would kill her, and then he would have everything with his family. I thought the alcoholic sister, she needed to go anyway. She was doing the most. She was doing the most.
She's just trying to shoot everybody.
She literally just drunk. Oh, you ain't gonna fuck me? Pow, pow, pow. Like, man, calm down.
And then she gets mad when they tell her she opens her legs for anyone. How you gonna get mad?
She's drunk saying, "Oh, y'all taking me here to kill me? Y'all just gonna kill me, huh? Y'all just gonna then kill me? Just make sure you just kill me then." Then they shoot her in the back of the head. I would have killed her a lot faster than that if I was them. I'm sorry. She would not have lasted that long. She would not have lasted that long.
How did you? I will say this: when I first approached the movie, because I try to avoid Scorsese movies because they're long, and I felt the length in this.
Three and a half
hours,
bro.
And I watched what's the one he made on Netflix with Robert De Niro, and I was like, "Yo, this is ridiculous!" Like, when I have to pause to go do other stuff to come back when I'm watching a movie,
I hate that.
And that's why I avoid Scorsese movies. Just because I'm like, this dude's like, I want you here for a long time. And I'm like, Martin, I'm never gonna meet you in my entire life. I got things to do, bro. And 3.5 hours, I really felt the length of this movie, which kind of hurt my enjoyment of it. Because I guess maybe you can say because we all got short extension spans now, but 3.5 hours, I don't care about the murder plot and all that. When I'm like,
I felt they could shorten it.
When I found myself looking at my watch like 4 or 5 times, I was like, Jesus.
I was just about to ask that. Like, how do you feel about this new wave of movies having to be 3 hours, 3.5 to get a story across?
What started that?
If it's Marvel. The right movie,
Marvel can do that because they have action. They have a lot of action.
Like, Endgame was 3 hours. I sat through that gladly, and I watch it regularly.
But look, first of all, Endgame has the benefit of having 10 years of lore to build up to it. Plus, you're getting small scenes in between set pieces. Like, you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Jesus, was that me? Did I cause that?
You triggered my Alexa somehow.
Yeah, so I think Endgame having the ability to have a lot of action, like to supplement, and also like, what was it? It felt like the last 30 minutes were just them boxing. So like all leading up to this moment where it kept you going. Like, for instance, what's a Marvel movie that didn't have that much action? Well, comparatively to another one that kept me in. I can't think of one right now. But what was it? Do you really think Marvel was what started that? But Marvel had the ability to just get. Oh, we've been talking for 20 minutes. Here's an action set piece that lasts for 25 minutes. So they could supplement that slow time with people just fighting. You know what I mean?
I think that Marvel was able to get a. It's like you touched on it. It had 10 years of content, and they were bringing it to a close. Like movies now, it's like. Here's the introduction. The introduction is 3.5 hours. I'm like, why? Why do we need that much runtime to just introduce something?
The movie did feel long to me. I did enjoy it though. It is in like my top 5 out of all these, I believe, if I just think off the top of my head. Because it did touch on, well, the movie was about how the Native Americans were just being taken advantage of and being manipulated and oppressed, and the disgusting aspect of like people's, again, America's greed and people's greed, and how far people are willing to go for not just money, but just like for their own desires. Because if you think about it, he had everything that he wanted. He had kids with this lady. He had a family. She bought him whatever he wanted, and he still just wanted more and more and more and more. But at the same time, he loved her. It's not like he was using her, but he loved, which made it worse. Because you obviously love this woman, but you're literally killing her family. You're seeing her go through funeral after funeral, wailing, breaking down, and you're just doing it. So just to be your uncle's bitch. So
I mean, that's the right way to put it.
No, it really was. And then you start poisoning her.
That's tough.
I was hoping that he was gonna throw the vial away when they gave it to him, and then when I saw him using it, I'm like, you were okay there for a little bit. I was thinking you might have like a little redemption arc. No.
Like I was also hoping like he would eventually have a redemption arc, or he would kill his uncle or something like that. No, he just kept on poisoning his wife, and she thought she was getting insulin, and she was getting whatever the hell
she was getting insulin, as well as
she was getting insulin and the poison.
Yeah.
And yeah, I actually thought the moment where he like took a little bit of the vial of poison himself, I thought like that would be like a turning point. No, it wasn't, because he's a piece of shit. The best scene for me though was incidentally one of the insulin scenes when like she was turning the doctors away and she was like expressing like, I don't want to take this insulin anymore. And I was like, you saw the struggle between them. And you saw the struggle. You saw his internal struggle, because like he sees his wife like pleading for help, saying that because she knows something is wrong, and he's struggling between being a good husband and keeping the lie and the facade going on, and then eventually guilt tripping her into taking the insulin. And it was just a very emotionally heavy scene, because you basically saw that whole cusp of the movie, like the whole aspect of the whole plot right then and there. And I don't know if anyone had like a different favorite scene.
No, that was my favorite.
I can't pick a favorite scene because they're heavy.
See, I'm a big fan of heavy movies, but the problem is, I think because I throw myself into those and see, I just don't know how you could spend that much time, that much effort, and then falling in love with that person and still do that to them
over years. Like seeing her mom die. Well, he didn't kill her mom. Her mom died at old age. But then the sister, and then the sister. Then you also see like, they're hiring private investigators, and you're killing the private investigators. It's like, yo, like you're just, oh god, the worst type of human.
I don't know how you could just do that to somebody you love, but also shows you just, man, y'all could really just kind of get away with anything back then. It feels like you couldn't just do that today. You really couldn't. You get found out by like some dude on TikTok
or their DNA.
Or DNA. Like you just, great. Now I'm bummed out. After the glory of Oppenheimer, ironically, because how much I love the movie, I'm bummed out. I think I was very uncomfortable watching a movie, and I'm never that way with
just because I'm pissed off at movies. Just because I'm pissed off at only me and Santo see it. We need to talk about Maestro, because we can run through Maestro really quickly. Maestro. I want to. As much as I wanted to fight the guy in Killer Moon, a part of me would give this guy a cupcake just so I could get like 5 minutes alone with the main character of Maestro. I just need 5 minutes. Oh God, Bradley Cooper was amazing, and he played what, Leonardo Bernstein.
Yes.
And I know the movie's about him, but the movie ain't fucking about him. Let's talk. The movie's not about him. He's not the main character. His wife
His wife
is the
held
main.
him down.
His wife is the top bitch. Okay, Felicia deserved the world. She deserved the world. So just to give y'all a rundown, my show's about this conductor. He's bi, which is fine. There's nothing. Who cares? He loves everybody. I think that's like the main place where he was like trying to like angle it. It's like he has this love for everybody, and he's in love with beautiful people. He meets Felicia, they fall in love, they have a family. He still likes man butt, which is cool. But he has no tact. He has no tact at all. So he's like passive aggressive toxic. Shaw, we know passive aggressive toxic people. We know how they get down. We know how they can manipulate. So there'll be times where like she's looking for him at a party. He's kissing on like a 19-year-old boy or 20-year-old boy, stuff like that. Yeah, he does shit like that. She walks away. He's just like, "Oh, I'm sorry. And like, but since it's like this is back in like the 1960s, 50s, in the beginning, so it's still kind of like taboo, but you don't really talk about it. So she can't really talk to him directly about his infidelity, and he's just like, "Oh, is there a problem? Do we have a problem? No, we're just having fun, right?" Shit like that. And Santo, take it away, because I need to collect my thoughts before I really say something.
Okay, so first of all, I think Maestro is definitely an Oscar movie. I mean, count down the black and white, classic music, queer subject matter, and it's a period piece. Definitely an Oscar. We're looking
amazing.
It. I have to give it to Bradley, because he studied composership for years. In that scene where he's composing the orchestra, that's actually him doing it. Like, I play music, I read sheet music, I understand how it is to be in an orchestra. To do what he did as something that is a passive thing, I cannot imagine how hard that was. Now, getting back to the character, he is an asshole.
Fucking asshole. He's an asshole. What makes it worse is that he's so nice. He's so nice to everybody, but he's such a vile piece of shit. Oh,
but that's the thing. Like, I think a lot of times with musicians, they have this extroverted character. Like he said, is I love people. I love everybody. Everybody's beautiful. I want to kiss guys all around just because they have a pretty face, according to him. But inside, a lot of them are very lonely. And he would just try to fill that void. And he kept hurting Carey Mulligan's character because of it, and I hate him for that. And she understood that about him and accepted it to a certain extent.
Because she said in the very beginning of the relationship, "You don't know how much you need me."
Yes, she literally held, like, holding her man down. That's the character. Like, even while she was going through her ailment, she kept looking at him like, "Hey, don't do this, do this." Like, keep trying to guide him and give him some kind of peace, even though that she was broken inside. My favorite scene was when he was leading the orchestra in that scene, and you saw him just pouring out all the emotion. And she's just there after all the shit this guy put her through. And she wasn't even supposed to be there. And she came, supported him, hugged him, and told him, there is no hate in your heart. Like, accept love. God, she bodied that movie, and he's such a dick.
See, that's not my favorite scene. I'll get to my favorite scene when Char comes back. But also the fact that like she just wanted him to like hide what he was doing from the kids, which was tough. And then like they did separate for a little bit, and then after that she got cancer and he took care of her, but was still fucking people. But
she just wanted him to be honest. Like if this is who you are, like
just be honest with
just be real. Like,
because going to like shows with like your student or whatever that's such a genius, and you're holding his hand while you're right next to her, like you're going on little trips with him, and then you're bringing him around your family, and then of course she's like in a mood, and he's like, why are you in a mood? I thought you love him. Isn't he so great? Isn't he so great with the kids? Yada 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 yada. Is there a problem? Is there something you need to discuss? But she's not gonna call him out, because that breaks his whole facade.
But I think she really understood that it's almost like he didn't know how to love or how to act properly in front of, like, he wasn't normal. Like, you remember when he had his first boyfriend and he just all of a sudden he's just no longer in the picture, and now he's bisexual. And when they meet each other face to face, it's so awkward that he's so happy joy, and they're like, oh, like, this is your new person, I'm your old person, are we even together? And he spanks his ass, and it's like, it's just so socially awkward, and she accepts him even after all of that. And he's just not fully honest about, this is who you are.
And he runs into that same guy later on, but that guy also has a wife and kid now. And yeah. What does he say to the little baby? He's like, oh, I slept with both your parents. I'm just like,
yes.
I'm just like,
to the kid.
I was like, okay. Music score, to me, I think it was number one out of all these films. It had to have been.
Yes, it's the best. I mean, I'm a stickler for classical music, and
I'm very particular about what classical music I like. So I did enjoy this.
This, like, I don't know if you caught it, and this is just me with musicianship. There was this one scene where he's training a composer, and he's trying to get a certain sound out of the orchestra, and the guy's like just sweating, like he can't figure it out. And he just comes up and he's like, oh, this is what you want to do, have timing and all of this. And he's speaking all of this terminology, this musical terminology. I'm like, okay. And then he does it, and I hear the difference in the orchestra. I'm like, oh, this is different. This music score is great.
Yeah, the training for this film, hats off to Bradley, because he deserves so much recognition, even though he played such a fucking asshole.
God, he's such a dick.
No, but when it comes to, because I don't know where Char went, when it comes to best scene, when she didn't know if he was going to make it in time for Thanksgiving, and he showed up with his little booty call.
Yes.
Oh, and they just started going back and forth, and then he got what happens when liars or egotistical assholes have their back against the wall. He starts getting defensive, and he starts saying like, "Oh, you're like everyone else. You're just jealous of my talent. You're jealous of how great I am. Yada 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 yada. Like you don't want to live in my truth." And that's when she finally had enough. I love it. I love it when people have enough, especially when it comes to relationship shit, where you just had enough. And I wrote down, because I like rewatched what she said like 5 times, because I'm like, yo, if someone has a shitty spouse, I feel like a lot of them are like, they have their spouse has issues or whatever, you can relate to this scene. Because like I've had spouses in the past where it's like, yo, I related to this scene when she said, "Your truth is a lie. It sucks up the energy in every room and gives the rest of us zero room to breathe. It's so draining to live and accept someone who doesn't love and accept themselves." I was like, talk your shit. Talk your shit. Because that's what he did. He was so big and so vibrant, he had to be the only one being acknowledged at all times. It was always his problems and then everyone else. It was always, and he didn't love and accept himself. And so that ended up hurting his relationship with everyone. Because when you have your own struggles and you have your own shit and you can't acknowledge it, you just bring everyone else down around you, especially your spouse. So to me, that was the best scene. That was the most important scene in the film because she finally had enough of his bullshit.
I think for me, my favorite scene, and like I told you, I think I was telling you on Discord, if Carey Mulligan does not win for Best Actress, like it's a crime. Like it was when she's going through cancer and she has visitors come over and you see her picking out her little napkins and she's folding them and all of that. And then they're sitting down. I think she has some visitors sitting down and she's on the couch and she's listening to them talk and she coughs into it. And she's still trying to be a good host and she's talking and you know, she's being nice. She's being herself because she's such a sweet character. And then they're leaving the house. He walks in. As soon as the doors close, she breaks down crying and says, "I don't want any more visitors. I can't do it anymore." Like the emotion that she shows, I cried in that scene. Like it impacted me because I mean, I thought she was okay, you know, that she was going through pain, whatnot. But the way she held it down until that door closed, like instantly, tears. She just started wailing, just, "I can't do this anymore." And you just saw that she was literally at her wit's end and she just broke down. That to me impacted me more than any other scene in the movie. I do agree with you with the monologue being the most important scene. Because it was literally, she's been eating shit this whole time. And she's like, stand up for yourself. There you go. But that scene, that is acting. Like, you know, like when you see those scenes in the movies and you just are in awe. Like this is acting. She was putting on a clinic in that movie.
Well, let's get into something a little bit fun. I don't think you saw this one, Santo, but this movie we can probably breeze through. The Holdovers. What did y'all think about The Holdovers?
Go ahead, Char. Go ahead.
You're muted.
Oh, shit. Sorry. My dog was barking. I said, that little boy just wanted to be loved. That's literally what it boils down to. He just wanted love. His fucking parents suck. Well, his mom sucks. And his dad's crazy.
Fuck his mom. What's with these movies?
Fuck his mom and his stepdad.
What's with these movies and just having people that could just piss me off? Oh my god!
Dude, when they were in the meeting with the teacher,
why does that actress always play a bitch? She's really good. I love that actress, but she's always playing such an asshole. As soon as I saw her, I was like, oh, this is about to be some bullshit. This is about to be some bullshit. Shout out to her though. She's a great actress.
The movie was phenomenal. Great. It touched on like your family doesn't always have to be your blood. Because like he found his family and it wasn't his fucking mom. Because fuck that bitch. She wanted nothing to do with him. Yeah, I liked seeing the teacher go from being a stuck-up asshole to like finally being like, okay, maybe I do kind of care about this kid a little bit. Just a little bit.
I'm staying away from it. I got some. I have some very choice words about the mom that I do not want to launch on this airways because this thing will get age gated or blocked. I'm trying to be very kosher about this.
Okay. Well, the cinematography to me, it was, I don't know, it was one of the best, but it was one of my favorites because it was so retro. It's like that in the wardrobe, like how like it was just, you really felt like you were like in the 70s or whatever. Especially since it was Boston where I was from. Like you got to see like everyone had like the long hair, it had like the little grainy picture type feel. I really thought that was refreshing. I loved most. Yeah, I don't think there was a character in it I really didn't appreciate in some way. If you know the teacher, hold on, because I forget his name all the time. Holdovers cast.
The guy, Paul Giamatti.
No, Paul. Yeah, Paul Giamatti. It's funny because the character's name is Paul too. Yeah, he's on Billions and he's a phenomenal actor. Billions is one of my favorite shows. Period. The way that you slowly saw like his character was a slow burn because like you're meant to not like him. At the same time, I loved how much I didn't like him in the beginning because he was such a dick. He was such a dick to all the students. It was hilarious. And then you saw him slowly like just unravel and like self-reflect and realize that there's more to teaching than just teaching. And like he really when he eventually like really put his arm around Angus, I felt okay, like this is more than just like a regular like funny like teacher becomes a nice thing. It was like it became like a really wholesome movie. When Angus broke his arm, or this not he didn't break, he dislocated it. To me, that was
dude, when because it took a second, like he hit the ground and then it's like dead silent, and then he just wails, and I'm like, oh shit, oh shit.
But like
the janitor said someone threw up in the gymnasium, and they're like, crazy. I was like, which one of you bitches did it? Because either one of you hosts could have done it.
Yeah, when he said, "Don't cross the Rubicon," don't cross the Rubicon, and then he said that phrase in Latin, I was just like, "Yo, this is it. This is it." My favorite character though was definitely Mary, the cook. Her story was of course sad because like her son died in the war, and you slowly saw. I felt like she was slowly like starting to get like worse and worse. Like you could like see slight signs that she was, because the closer it was getting to Christmas, the worse she was getting. And when they were at the Christmas party, and she just started drinking, and then like she didn't want no one touching the fucking music. She's like, "Yo, this is the songs my boy loved. You ain't touching this fucking radio." And I felt that was like the moment where I was like, okay, everything's like finally coming together. And I'll talk about the shit. Nah, because that's what's on everyone's mind. So Santo, where you don't know, Angus, he got like they go to like it's a boarding school, like a very prestigious boarding school or whatever.
Okay.
And his mom remarried, and apparently the mom and the stepdad never had a honeymoon because they've been so busy, and so they decided to have a honeymoon
on Christmas
break after promising them to take him to Boston and doing all this other stuff and spending Christmas together. Yeah, so they left him at the boarding school on Christmas break.
Dang,
that was strike 3 already. That was strike 3 already. Turns out his dad,
who he said was dead.
Yeah, he told everyone his dad was dead, but it turns out his dad has schizophrenia. And his dad,
he's got paranoid schizophrenia, which is
paranoid schizophrenia. And so his dad eventually had to get like put in a asylum or whatever. And so that's why he wanted to go to Boston so bad, is because he hasn't seen his dad in so long. He wanted to see him.
Okay.
He eventually, when he was able to see his dad, he saw how bad his dad really was. but he left him like a gift. But then it made his dad think like, oh, I'm gonna get to see my son more often, yada yada. Found out that wasn't the case. He had like a meltdown at the place, and now he might have to get moved. So at the end of the movie, she comes to the school and it's like, why the fuck did this happen? Why did you take him to Boston to see his dad? Yada 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 yada. He wants to come home. He still thinks we're married. Blah 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 blah. And yeah, they wanted to send him to military school as if it's a bad thing. They wanted to punish him for seeing his father.
Wow.
After you left him on Christmas, you left your son on Christmas for a man.
You want to talk about a woman completely fumbling what it means to be a mother? It's my mom. Okay, so I'm with my mom. I couldn't imagine being Angus and watching my mom do that to me, especially with what they promised him.
And then you want to punish him for seeing his father after you abandoned him on Christmas for yourself.
His life sounds like for lack of a better, like all these Reddit stories that I read now, thanks to Moon Peaches. And it's like, and I'm not trying to make light of it, but it's like,
how do you do that to somebody?
How do you do that to your son? And then what? You're gonna come back from your vacation, act like nothing happened? He's just gonna ask about his dad, whether or not he was taken there or not. This man is part of his life. You can't just erase that. And I felt so bad for Angus, especially as the movie went on. I felt really bad, even after he saw his dad. I felt bad because I don't know if just taking him there real quick and maybe meeting his dad and then them going on their honeymoon or something would have been the right thing. But he was just getting hoed, man. Well, leave it up. Why is a stranger a better parent than you?
Early, and a impossible hypothetical different reality. If Char's husband was in an asylum and Char was with Henry Cavill and
now
yeah,
she was hating until Henry Cavill.
She's like, "Ooh, I like this story."
Yeah, she was with Henry Cavill and she abandoned Leo at a boarding school for Christmas. I just hope that Char in that reality is gonna start just hearing "Nuck if you buck" out of nowhere, and that Lonnie's gonna pull up with an extra pair of boxing gloves. No, 2 extra pairs for you and that
Henry Cavill. You can wait like a week.
I might have to poison Henry Cavill, like how they did that lady in the Flower Moon. I might have to poison him a little bit because I don't know. I don't trust him.
Henry Cavill. You can wait a week. You can wait a week, then go on your honeymoon.
I'm out to sneak him. But me and Char boxing.
I'm not. There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way I would ever do that to my kid.
How old is her son in the movie?
He's like 16.
Dang.
And so his dad has been institutionalized for I think like 2 years, maybe less. Like, so it's like a very new thing. And because his dad, they said like his dad was okay, and then it just kept getting worse, and then it became like an issue, and like it became
like a safety issue,
like harm of like him harming one of them. So he got sent to the hospital, and they got divorced.
That's what hurts me the most, is because if obviously if Angus was younger, it would be different. But like for most of Angus's life, this dude's been there, you know. And maybe it also because it's the time, it's the 70s, so they don't know how to approach mental illness that way. But it's like to just kind of throw him away and then lie to Angus like that and then just go live your life, basically. Like you just forget that you have a son for. How long were they gone? How long was that honeymoon?
It was like a 2 week. It was like a 2 week Christmas break.
They left. They left the day that they were supposed to pick him up because they called him and she was like, I have something to do or whatever. Because then he kept trying to call the hotel and they wouldn't come to the phone.
Okay, but
she's one of the worst moms I've ever seen.
let's move on to. I think this is a quick one, a quicker one to talk about. Anatomy of a Fall. So, you want to start off, Shar?
No, because that movie, I don't feel like you end up with like an answer because it's so like back and forth. Like the whole movie, I was like, this bitch did it.
I'm still like this. I'm sorry. I'm still like she did it.
But no, but like there's certain things where I'm like, there's like doubt in like little areas, and I'm like, well, fuck, did she do it? And I'm like, nah, she did it.
She did that shit. She did that shit.
And I think
got
it's
mad
fair
and she
because
put
her son got put in an impossible situation where he just lost his dad, and he's on the sand, and he's fucking blind. Like it's not like he pretty much needs a caretaker or someone to like supervise him to make sure that he's okay. Like his dad's dead, and he knows that if he doesn't test, like his testimony goes a certain way, he's going to lose his mom too. So like he was literally put in the most shitty situation that you could ever put a child in.
Yeah, I really feel like
she killed that man.
Oh, she had to have.
I feel like
no one else was there. How did he fall out the window that way?
Killed that man.
Like it doesn't. I don't know. It didn't make. Yeah,
she absolutely killed that man. I've watched too much SVU to pretend like we don't know how to kill it. She killed that man.
Shout out to SVU.
I thought the movie overall it was interesting. The cinematography was okay, and like the wardrobes was basic and everything like that. The defense. I'm sorry. The lawyer was a conflict of interest. The lawyer was conflict because he also thought that she did it. You can tell he thought. I think he said like, I wouldn't believe you. I believe you, but I wouldn't believe you. You thought she did it. You just wanted to clap her cheeks in college, so you helping her out. But you know she did that shit.
I mean, all the evidence quite literally points to it.
And that fight, I'm sorry, like that fight was very interesting because I feel like it does cover a lot of family and parental dynamics. But because like there were both valid points on each argument, but she was still overall in the wrong because he was saying like, hey, I'm struggling here. I've made all these sacrifices. Can you take on a little bit more of the load right now so I can like get back on my feet? And she wasn't having it. And she was just like, I figure it out. Why can't you just figure it out? And he's just asking for his partner for help. And she was making valid points. She was making some valid points of like how he put himself in this situation, but at the same time, as your partner, like you need to be able to like do your part too and adjust. And I'm sorry, the way that she was excusing her infidelity too was bullshit. It wasn't cheating because I told him about it. Obviously, he wasn't okay with you getting your cheeks clapped or you clapping other ladies' cheeks. Obviously, he wasn't cool with it.
She's so guilty.
Like, she's like, well, I told him about it.
The hell that mean? Bro, she said that in the movie. I threw my hands up and paused the movie and went to go do something else for a little bit. I needed a break.
So like he feels guilty that like he basically blinded his son and like affected his son's life. He's at the lowest of the low, and you're telling him I'm sleeping with other people. He doesn't have the mental strength or emotional strength to fight back on that. He's already given up at that point. He's already at a loss. And you're just like, yeah, I'm sleeping with other people. What? What are you doing? It's not cheating because he knew. But in that way, when we heard the voice recording, I felt, yeah.
I think this movie touched on a lot of like how I see society right now. It's all about victimhood. Like it's like take responsibility. It just and it plays on almost like giving a voice. Like I tell my coworkers all the time, like I think everybody should be heard. No, everybody deserves a voice, like to say something, but not everybody needs to be heard. Like I think this movie a lot, like it's just, we know you did it, just accept it. But just seeing like even people were like almost believing her to a certain extent, and her just playing the victim. It was it was gross. It was gross. Like this movie, it felt gross.
And also the bullshit where she said that she only slapped him once.
That's a lie.
Or whatever. She's like, oh yeah, I only like that.
She's in America. She's going to jail.
in the recording, she's like, yes,
no. Let's keep it I'm violent. Let's keep it a stack. If she was in America, she'd go to jail. Let's keep it absolute stack.
She'd have been in jail.
Let me stop.
Bruh. And yet, also in America, I don't think they would let you stay in the same house as your son throughout that whole thing when he's a key witness.
Oh, no, he 1,000% would have been in a protective custody because you can sway his opinion.
I mean, she popped up on him in the middle of the night, like, which swayed his opinion. So yeah, I'm sorry. It was a good movie. You can't tell me that she didn't do it. She didn't. She still failed as a wife. To me.
By the way, great use of 50 Cent.
Man,
great use of 50 Cent.
Taking it from a guy that was raised on the islands. When I heard that steel pan, I was like, "Oh, let's go, let's go."
Like,
but then when it kept repeating, I literally looked at John and I was like,
nah, that was pettiness, man.
No, I literally was like, okay, is this like a part of like what's actually happening in the movie, or is this like background music? Because sometimes they'll play background music. So I was like, is it background music or is this actually happening? He was like, I think it's a little bit of both. Like they're leaving it playing after they're not. I was like, oh, he just being a dick. He's like, oh, you want to flirt with that bitch right down there? Bet.
And she was a little flirty. She was like, it wasn't like flirty, but it was like the beginning of like,
she was flirting. The other girl was completely oblivious and was like, huh? I'm just here to do my job.
Yeah, no, I felt like if the conversation were to continue, it would get down to like flirting, but yeah, she did it. All right. So
we're all just waiting for that one movie, Lani, so we can just throw down.
I know, but I feel like before that, because that one I have the most notes on.
I wonder why.
That's where like everybody's gonna be throwing boxing gloves and just swinging.
But let's talk about the zone of interest.
Good talk.
No, that movie was heavy, but it was necessary, especially in the times that we are in today. I've been raking my head about the movie ever since I saw it, and about how I want to talk about it and approach it, because it's like stepping on eggshells with this movie. Honestly, I didn't like any character. I didn't like a single character in that goddamn movie.
I don't think you're supposed.
His wife is a spoiled bitch.
His wife. I really hope all those people in the movie, I hope they're all burning in hell in the worst ways.
No, I don't know if the servants are. The
servants are just there.
They doing what they need to do to stay alive.
Also,
especially when she said, "My husband will burn you," I was like, "Ooh."
Also,
hey, don't say that with a crematorium right across the street. That's kind of
the only person I appreciate was that girl that was putting like apples and like potatoes behind things. Shout out to that girl. But in terms of cinematography and everything like that, unfortunately, it was phenomenal. And a good thing, a crazy thing that I don't think I've seen this in another movie, because like when it comes to like scary movies or like anticipation, like you see sometimes like movies use like a big echo or like a echoing sound. It's like supposed to like give you like a dread like feeling, and that echoing sound was playing throughout the whole movie, which I felt was like necessary, but also like it was also unique to itself, because it's like you're just the whole time it's just like this echoing sound going on, this like dread, like this, like the dread is coming, but it's also the whole film. So it's like it gives it a negative tone from the very beginning to end, which I thought, like in terms of sound usage, that was a phenomenal choice. The random screams and everything like that while they're living their day-to-day lives, I felt like the acting was great, because the fact that you have to like stay in character, stay on that while random sounds are going off in the background, the amount of focus that takes, I want to commend the actors for that. I don't know what to say about the message, except that we need to some people, like when it comes to like, oh, the Holocaust isn't real, and I don't want to get super political into all that or whatever. I feel like those people are full of shit. That's just my personal opinion.
Go to the Holocaust Museum and tell me it's not real.
Yeah, but I feel like since like we're so removed from history because that what happened so long ago, this movie's like, I would say like, if even though like America's really iffy about stuff, if I'm a high school, I don't mind playing that movie to kids so they can like realize like the horror of that time, because I feel like it's necessary. And there's not like a drop. There's technically not a drop of blood. There's not a drop of blood. There's not. I don't think there's really any cursing. So why not show it? Why not show it to the young adults of America so they can really realize what happened? So I felt that it was uncomfortable, which is the point, and it moved me in ways in terms of anger and frustration that I didn't expect it to. But yeah, any other thoughts?
What moved me the most, I guess, was how uncomfortable the entire movie was. Especially, obviously, knowing that we're just watching this family live their life, while I think the last time I heard, like over 1 million people died at Auschwitz, and that dude ran the camp for the majority of the time. Like, I don't know how, as just even if you believe exactly what those people believed, I don't know how at some point that just doesn't move you. And
her mom got upset by it and left.
Oh, well, it's also the smell from the chimneys.
And then to just, I was the whole time. First of all, I don't think you're supposed to. Everybody that got named and that they focus on, basically, well, except for a few of the servants. Like, I hated everybody. The whole movie I was watching like this. Like, it's like I was guarding myself from the movie, if that makes sense. And Lani, I agree with you. This is something that it kind of just reminds you, like, look, this happened, man. This happened. Like, we're watching this person who killed 1 million people or oversaw that. They believe this thing. And I'm trying to find the right words, because I really want to praise the movie, but just because of its subject material, like I was like uncomfortably entertained, if that's the right word.
Yeah, as a movie, in terms of like what is appealing to a movie, it was unique. It was powerful.
It was challenging. This is such so many people would fumble this, and I'm not just saying like so many people. Like, if we took on that challenge, like I feel like big directors would fumble this. Acclaimed directors would fumble this. This was such a challenging movie to obviously write, to showcase, and also I understand that, like, I love the fact that we got to just, it felt natural also because everybody was nobody was really speaking English. We only got to see it in German, and that really helped it. And I think the one thing I want to say, I can't remember the director's name, but I give him a lot of props for even just trying to tackle this, because I believe there was a movie kind of done this before back in 2014 that didn't do so well. So they tried it again based on the novel that was written. And the novel dives right deep into what the guy did at the camp a lot. So to kind of just, you didn't need to show us that. We know whether or not you think it was real or fake. We know what happened. But you always just kind of have those random screams that echo that foreboding, that uncomfortable feeling that we're having. This lady, she's like, oh, here are my azaleas, blah, blah, blah. This is where I'm going to plant them. This is where I'm going to do this. I'm like, how do you just kind of, props to those actors also. The entire project itself was so challenging, and I respect the fact that they were able to pull this off so successfully.
By the way, the director is Jonathan Glazer.
Okay, so we have 3 movies left: American Fiction, Poor Things, and Past Lives.
Save Past Lives for last. Save it for last.
I'll probably save that for last because that's the one that everyone saw. But
it's weird that we can't even talk more about that movie, The Zone of Interest. It's just like, it was there, it was good. That's all we need to say.
Yeah.
It's crazy that was a good portion of that is, well, a good portion of Oppenheimer is the same time as that movie.
Right.
Because it's World War II.
Let's talk about something fun. So let's talk about Poor Things real quick. Let's run let's run through Poor Things. Let's run through Poor Things.
Oh, thank the Lord.
Run through.
Why is it fun?
Oh God.
Thank the Lord.
Poor Things was an amazing film. For multiple reasons. No, to be on a serious note, Poor Things was an amazing film. It was definitely unique and had its own challenges. I thought it was just a regular Frankenstein remix, and then it got a lot deeper than that. The black and white to rustic color architecture, like the staging of it, everything was very unique and beautiful. How, I don't know, like how to explain like how it was set up, because it's like, it's almost like a play. It's almost like everything was built like a play, or like the buildings and everything like that. I don't know the right terminology, but it's like the world building for that was phenomenal. The wardrobe, like the Victorian-esque steampunk type wardrobe, was very unique. The pacing was pretty good as well, and the music score was unique to it. It was unique. I think it's You want to talk about the music score, Santo?
I was talking to my coworkers about this. This was, to me, one of the most interesting scores I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, because it was very different.
They're wrong chords. It doesn't sound good. Like, if you were to play it outside of the movie, there are wrong chords. It's an untuned guitar.
They're throwing this score away, Santo. They're throwing it away.
But it's perfect for the movie. Like,
the fact that the main character is wrong, is like a wrong being. I feel like it fits.
That's the point, and that's what I'm saying. That's the point. It's not even music. It's just a pull of a string, and to see how it fits specifically with each scene, like, and no wrong chord is the same in the entire movie. I think it's genius.
It was definitely I don't know. It was unique. It was polarizing.
It really was.
I feel like this Frankenstein plot, though, was definitely unique, except how she became Frankenstein. So basically, she killed herself while she was pregnant. And the dude said, let me take the baby's brain and put it into her body and make a whole new being. And I was just like, nigga, what?
That was his first thought.
I was like, wait, you did what? I was like, I paused it when he said like what he did. I was just like, a pregnant lady killed herself. He took the baby's brain. But the baby was alive. The baby was alive. The mom died from the drowning, but he took the baby's brain out and put it in the mom's brain. I was just like, okay, that's super messed up, but I'm here. I'm here. And the movie overall, like, yeah, it's like it's all about self-awareness and self-discovery, which I always enjoy movies like that because I feel like everyone discovers and experiences life differently. And so, of course, hers was very unique onto her in terms of her journey, in terms of self-discovery and self-pleasure and things of that nature. Yeah, we've all had our whole phases. She
That is one way to describe it.
That's one way to describe it. She had her whole phase, and yeah, I'm sorry. She's like, why aren't we doing this all the time? And I looked at my girl. I was like, yeah, why aren't we doing this all the time? Because she has a point. She had a point.
That's a point.
And Emma Stone, she took on challenges. Respect to her. I do always enjoy Emma Stone as an actor, from La La Land to the Scarlet Letter movie. Like she's a phenomenal actress. I didn't think she would be in this type of film. She definitely pushed boundaries, and I do feel like there were definitely people that went to this movie that probably brought their kids, thinking like, oh, it's Emma Stone. It's like a Frankenstein movie. It'll be fine. And then they bring their kids out the movie theater.
You brought your kids?
Just say, if you look at the trailer, that's not what you're expecting.
That trailer hid everything this movie.
You're gonna have to have a whole conversation with your kids after that movie. Ain't no way.
You see Emma Stone as Frankenstein, and you see the guy that used to play the Hulk, and you see, and you think it's like, oh, it's like a fun Frankenstein movie, and then
Hold on.
But in all seriousness, Emma Stone was phenomenal in terms of her acting. There were a few things that she said in terms of her self-awareness and realization.
It was rated R. Why would you take your kids to that?
We did not know
take your 12-year-old or 13-year-old to rated R movies and stuff like that, and not knowing what it's gonna be. If you watch the trailer, I didn't think there was gonna be a single sex scene. Watching the trailer, I didn't think there was gonna be a single sex scene at all.
I didn't know that there was gonna be furious humping
or BDSM or.
To be fair, when I saw that, it felt like I got hit in the face. I was like, "What happened?"
I was like, "Yo, who gave her this ball gag?" I was like, "Okay."
It's like, hey Emma, relax. Is she gonna be okay?
No, but when she's on the ship and she talks to the black guy and they get off, and he's like, "I can really show you what the world is like." And then she sees poor people for the first time, and and she saw babies dying and people starving and things of that nature, and she was just shell shocked. And when she said that money is its own form of sickness, who am I lying in a feather bed while dead babies lie in a ditch? I was like, damn.
Bars.
And someone asked, and then I think he asked her, the guy asked her, why are you with this guy? He's obviously a dumbass, he's a piece of shit. And I hear this from 30, 40 different females in my lifetime that when it comes to why are you with this nigga? And they're because he asks why do you say? She's I always think it'll be better. And then that's a lot of people's mentalities when it comes to relationships. I was oh, it'll change, it'll be better, yada yada yada. And then if it's constant, it's constant. And then Madam was her own unique character. the lady, the one in charge of the whorehouse.
Mhm.
I did like when she said the like knowing the good and bad makes you whole. And so like because she was all like, why can't I just sleep with the people I want to sleep with? Yada yada yada. And she's like, basically what she was trying to say is like experiencing bad things aren't always a bad thing, especially since for her she's still young in her experience, and she's like knowing the pros and cons of life makes you overall a better person, which it did make her a better person. My only gripe with the movie was the ending, because I get that the ex-husband that like found her or whatever, I get that he needed to die. That was cool. But why not put the doctor's brain in his body? Because the doctor was dying. Why not do that? Why like she put the goat's brain in his body, but why not save your creator and put the creator's brain in your ex-husband's body? That would just make more sense to me.
I think it was. I think the ending was actually really good. I think it came from. I think the whole movie was a lot of self-discovery for her, like going through the child phase with God or her dad, and going through puberty when she finally discovered how to make herself happy, and going through all of those things, being captive with, or we can say that it was seen like she was being captive from the world with her dad. Then after that, here comes Mark Ruffalo's character, and again tries to keep her captive. And then in the end of the movie, she has a self-empowering moment. And I think that he definitely needed to die so she can literally become almost like her true self, like the embodiment of what William Dafoe's character wanted her to be. I think
Max couldn't catch a break. Max just couldn't catch a break.
No, he definitely couldn't. But that's why I think that it, to me, I don't think it would have lessened the impact of her pretty much taking care of or getting rid of her captor. I think it showed the strength of her growth and her maturity. I think if she did that, put William Dafoe's character's brain in him, it was like she's almost still dependent of her dad.
That makes sense. Any other thoughts on Poor Things?
It's gonna take me some time to see Emma Stone in a different light after that movie. My goodness. Hey, but I guess does this mean we're gonna see more, I guess, risque roles for Emma going forward now that she pulled this off?
Okay, she doesn't have to do another risque role again in her life because she got them all out the way.
She said, "Let me get them all out in one movie. We chilling."
This is the one.
I'm about to say no, because I seriously don't think I've ever seen that many sex scenes in a movie before.
My goodness,
with that many different people.
That'd be work, man.
So
that'd be work.
All right, so 2 movies left. I want to talk about American Fiction. I've been waiting to talk about American Fiction because I feel like this might be the second or third most important movie out of all of these. I feel like it's made the importance, especially as a black man, of this movie was very significant because the way that our culture is what's the word I'm looking for?
Portrayed?
Not just portrayed, but the way that it's like hyped up, and the way that it's
marketed.
Not just marketed, but the way that it's not just viewed, like the way that it's used from people outside of our culture and the way that it's absorbed by everyone outside our culture, it's like it's still like in a different way. Like black people in America are like put like in this like zoo type situation where it's like we're like for show, and American fiction like really tackled that. The best thing about the cinematography was like when he's in the middle of writing, and like the actors actors are like the way they did this was like phenomenal. So like he'll be writing his book, and then the actors will be in front of him acting, and then they'll be like, all right, what do I say now? What do I do now? And they'll like have a like the characters will have a conversation while he's writing. I thought that was great. But a big thing that they tackled was how you can call it white America. The way that they want they want the end result of black culture in a lot of situations. And they also want to feel not just like America, but in terms of other cultures, they want to feel included, but not absolved. But so like they want to be like one of us. They want to be at the cookout, but they don't want to. At the same time, they want to avoid all the tough conversations. Like, and I feel like it's not just that with in terms of life, people just want the end result. They want the good shit without acknowledging any of the things that come with it. So they don't want to like. I feel like when it comes to acceptance and inclusiveness, there's a journey and there's a process. And a thing that this movie covers is like, oh, they just want to be one of the boys. Like, we all know that the little kid that wants to say the N-word, but he can't. So he says it in a song anyway, yada yada, because he just wants to be a part of it's a part. And the fact that there was one part in the movie where they're like rating like what's the best book of the year or whatever, and the two black judges are saying, hey, like this book by this fake black author that they don't know is fake, it's insensitive, it's mindless, it's garbage. And the white lady says it's essential to listen to black voices, and then they vote for that movie, for that book. So it's just like that was like the perfect portrayal of like what people go through, what black people go through on a daily basis. I can't talk enough about the film. I thought the film was very well done. Santo, did you have any quick thoughts?
Yes. Shout out to Smart Comedies. I think this movie is literally, if Inception was a comedy, it would be this. I do like, first of all, Jeffrey Wright bodied Monk. He
did an amazing job.
He acted his ass off. It shows that white America really enjoys
the extremes of our culture,
black trauma. It's almost like they were like fiending for it. Like he was writing these, intellectual books with substance and meaning and getting no sales. I think the most impactful scene of the movie was when him and Issa Rae were talking about each other's books, where they're literally exactly the same. But they were saying, and he was like kind of stumped, like, how can you call this book, the one that he wrote under a different alias, like how can you call this pandering, but not yours? And her response was, well, I did research for mine. But it's the same book.
Because he took inspiration from her book. He's like, let me write the dumbest, most ignorant book I can possibly write. And then white America ate it up like clockwork. And like at first it was called Pathology. And then like the people were asking him about it, and then he pretended he's like a fake convict, and the other like, oh my god, so this is based off a real story. Oh, we definitely respect your struggle, sir. Like things like that. And it just kept on going on. Then like he just kept on saying like how ignorant can this go? Eventually in a meeting, he asked on the phone, he's like, actually, I don't like the title panthology. What if we just call it fuck? And they're just like, they just went with it like, hey, it's edgy. It really speaks to, it's really sticking it to the man, right? Yeah, we're sticking it to the man with you.
It's legit.
He's like, are you serious? And like in the background, he's like, are they serious right now? I'm just trying to see. He's like, I'm really trying to end this by being as ignorant as possible, but they're just eating it up.
And just to see like the look of disappointment that he had when he was talking to Issa Rae's character, like we wrote the same thing. You did research, and I was just making a spoof, and you're calling mine pandering, but yours is acceptable. And I think that's another thing that he was talking about. He's like, I believe in Black excellence. I believe in our people, and we're better than this. And her thing was, what's so bad about
catering to the market?
To the market, you know, and that's unfortunately that's a true statement. If you are in a business world, you have to cater to your market.
She did say an interesting quote when she said, potential is just something. Potential is something that people see when they don't like what's in front of them.
When what's in front of them is not enough.
Yeah, which in some cases it is very true. Potential is more than that, but there are times where people see something in something that should be more, and they try to fill it up with quote unquote potential. So she did make a good point with that, but she lost the whole meaning of what he was trying to convey.
He was pretty much telling her like, you sold out, and I did the same thing as a spoof, and to see myself getting success, that was his biggest struggle. But I will say, Sterling K. Brown as Cliff stole this show. Like when his mom said, "You're a genius. I know you weren't a dyke." And because she's dealing with Alzheimer's. And she's talking with Monk, thinking that she's talking to Cliff. To see his struggle as a gay Black man, like he just needed a hug. But he like his comedy is phenomenal. His sadness, the way he portrays it, is great.
My favorite quote from my mom though was, "Geniuses are lonely because they can't connect with people." Which is unfortunately true, because there are times, especially when I was a young kid, where I was unfortunately like just the smartest person in the room, including the teacher sometimes, and I felt isolated because there are times where actually like everyone's like really superior at something, and you can't really connect with the other people around you with it because either they feel jealous and they can't do what you can, or you can't convey it to them, or sometimes things just come easy to people. And being good at things and being very smart can make you worse in other aspects of your life. And I feel like that's what happened to the main character, because he was so complex. He was so smart that he cut off, his books weren't selling well because he cut off from the audience entirely, because it was just, he was so above everybody else. And yeah, I felt like that was it wasn't as significant as the rest of the film, but it was meaningful.
What did you think about the last scene where he gets in the car with Cliff and he looks to the side and there's like this old black guy and he just like nods his head?
Oh, the guy that was playing a slave?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like acknowledging of it's what America, because at the end of the day, like the way they ended the movie, the fake movie, was he gets shot at the end.
He gets shot.
Yeah, he gets shot because that's what America wants. They want to see the black guy get shot. Because the guy said no to like what 2-3 different versions of the movie. He's like, what if I just get shot at the end of the movie? That's groundbreaking. That's beautiful. That's what we're gonna run with. That's what we're gonna run with. Yeah, you get shot at the end, and then he sees a guy portraying a slave in the same movie studio, and this is the world we live in. This is America. So I thought that was very spot on, symbolic of where we are.
That's what I thought of as well.
Last movie, last but not least in some aspects of the talk about characters. Past lives.
Let me go ahead and stand up and lean in a little bit.
Because I actually watched it again like late last night.
Thank God I watched it again yesterday. We had a whole conversation, me and Lani did. And then I watched it again. And I think if we're being honest.
Because there were like certain things that like I didn't catch the first time. So like I'm glad I watched it because I talked to multiple people about it, like at least 5 or 6. I talked about this movie more with people than any other movie. And there were like a lot of different thoughts and opinions on it, which I thought was really good.
I think that's the point. That's the point.
Yeah, that's the point. Movie. Like you're all supposed to. I feel like everyone's supposed to feel differently about the film.
So I would say this: the American in me hates the wife and the friend. But if that's why I want to watch it again.
And I'm glad I watched it the second time because I don't hate the guy. I don't hate the guy.
I wanted to take an outside perspective on it. Like for first of all, first things first, Celine Young, the director of this movie, for this to be your first movie, phenomenal work to create something that after watching it, it's like hell. To be honest with you, I might watch it again just to see, to create something where, if you really look at it, there's no villain in the movie. If there is one, you're creating it yourself because you want something and you want to talk about a romance story. This is something to kind of go to the anime space for a little bit. Like if this was an anime, I would absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And it tackles issues that I don't think we're so used to the Lily White thing where the couple gets together. Because I think it would have been, if another director did it, they would have turned her husband into the villain, Arthur. Mm-hmm. First of all, he is
that's what I was okay expecting.
He is the MVP of this movie.
They're fated lovers, so her husband's gonna be an asshole. Her husband's a great guy.
Her husband is like the type of emotional, mature person that everybody says they are. That's who that guy is. Like,
and I'm sorry, it's watching it a second time. She don't deserve him.
She does like
she don't deserve him.
To give you guys a little fun fact, Celine Young made the guy who plays Hae-sung and the guy who plays Arthur. They never met until that first scene where they meet each other. She purposely kept them apart until that, so you got their genuine reaction. What Celine did a lot was that you got a lot of these little quiet moments with Arthur, where I think a lot of people, like for instance, when they leave to go and he just kind of stays at home, and you get that weird moment where he just closes the door and he just kind of stands there for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Most people would be losing their mind at that moment. I know I would. And I like to think I'm very emotionally secure, but I would, to kind of see in a lot, if when you're looking at it from a Western like point of view, the disrespect she's kind of showing, right, to him, to spend this much time with him, to feel like at certain points, like he's like the third wheel there, and you always get these moments, and the fact that he's willing to just kind of let this happen, because in a weird way, I guess in the best way, he trusts her. He really does. He's like, look, this is weird, but I trust you. And he pays for it, man. Because Shar, how many times do they just close look at Arthur's face and you're like, this dude is going through it. Watching his wife have this emotional connection that he just doesn't have. He'll never have with her.
He'll never have
that with her.
And that's heartbreaking.
And then the thing is, and the craziest part is he's supportive. He's great. He's perfect. But there are so many times it feels like he also gives her this out. There's one time when he straight up asks her, it's like, it feels like you want to run away with him. And she just looks at him. And it's quiet.
Yeah.
and it's
like he's thinking about it.
He gave her a second out. And I was surprised.
When they were in bed, when they were in bed together, and she laughs.
And when he was like, when you were a kid, what did you think? Where did you see yourself? And I was like, bitch, you better not. Bitch, you better not say it. You better not say that you saw yourself marrying him because you said it at 12 years old. You said you was marrying him. You better not tell him you said that though.
Mm-hmm. I will say, and I don't want to drag on too long, so obviously I want to let you guys talk. This was also a fascinating look into Korean culture for me and how kind of Korean relationships work, because there's this one thing, and I was wondering why it was so weird. So remember, they're on the ferry, right? And they're about to take that picture together, and then she kind of like, "Why are you so close?" And I was like, "That's like, what's the problem there?" But then there's this thing where in Korea they're very they don't like having big faces, so he's like, okay, and that's why he takes a step in front of her to take the picture to kind of showcase her small face, right, to kind of hide the fact. And obviously she spent 12 years in Korea before she moved, so that part of a little bit of that is ingrained in her. She's never going to lose that. So there are all these little things where I'm like, after watching the movie last night, I dove into Korean dating culture, how that works, customs, things like that, because I just wanted to know why certain things ended up which way. And that crying scene, watching it a second time when he leaves, it's like she's just mourning that this is it. Like, this is probably the last time she'll ever see him. And that was such a big part of her life. And the fact that they reconnected when they were 24, and they kind of tried, right? But then it didn't work. And then they reconnected again when he came to visit. And then that was it. And she kind of cried for it. And kind of a parallel of when she cried when she was younger, Hae Sung was there for her. But now Arthur's there. And I cannot praise the guy who played Arthur enough for his portrayal, because it shows you want to be strong, you want to be this emotionally mature person that you claim to be. This is what you have to go through, because not too many actors could do what he did, and he's not getting enough praise. He should be like in the best supporting actor conversation, in my opinion, for what he did in this movie.
So my thoughts on the movie, I do agree it was a great film. What I did when I watched it a second time, I just listed where I would say crossing boundaries that shouldn't have been crossed. So the situation where they were in a talking stage for a while, cool, whatever, and then they just ended it because it became too hurtful to not be near each other. Mm-hmm. That I understand, because I've been in a situation like that before, in the past. So I was like, okay, I get it. And then she gets married, he dates someone for a while, he breaks up, contacts her, says, I'm coming over. As much as I wouldn't like it, as a spouse, I'd be like, hey, if this is something you really need to do what you gotta do. But here's where we start crossing some boundaries.
She was pushing the envelope.
No, this is where she starts pushing them. So when they're walking around, he's like, oh, have you been here often? She's like, yeah, this is where me and my husband started our first dates and stuff like that. That's red flag number one. That's red flag number one. I was just thinking, I had a random thought when I saw because Char's my best friend in the world. And she's probably the only 3 people I could think of that I would die for. Born in the world, it would be a few more people. But if I were to say randomly Char, hey, I've met this new girl best friend, yada yada. And you know what? I took her to Kobe, and then then we went to Lucas to get some tattoos. And then after that, we went to the Korean barbecue spot, and then we went to Costa's after. You know what?
I'm shooting you. You're getting shot.
Yeah. That's just my best friend. So you're going. So the person that the last time you guys communicated, you guys had obvious feelings for each other, and it was so hurtful that you guys had to stop. And you take them to the places you fell in love with your husband? No. No, the fairy part I didn't really care about. That to me was just kind of like, no, you don't really do that as a spouse. That's like, you don't. Oh, this is where like I fell in love with my husband. Let me take the guy that I was also in love with. Let me take him to these spots too. That to me was just kind of gross. I commend Arthur for his emotional strength because
he's better than me.
He's way better than me. I would have been in jail. I did like. There was a part where she was like throughout the whole movie. Throughout the whole movie, though, from like beginning to end, there were certain moments. I think I counted 4, especially when they were in their talking stage, where they were trying to like get each other to admit that they had feelings for each other. And one of the times while they were just sitting, and she was like asking like why he's really there, she started doing the same conversation. She was goading him into trying to admit that he has feelings for her. Why are you doing that?
What would that have? And maybe that's one of the questions I was like, okay, what are you trying to learn from asking that question? Because it shouldn't change anything for you.
It shouldn't change it, but it's like you're challenging him to try to confess his feelings for you.
Well, and she already knew. She had said to her husband when she first got home from that first interaction, when he first got to New York, yeah, he came here to see me.
Yeah, and then you're trying to know
exactly why he's there.
And then you're goading him and try to confess his feelings for what? For what? That to me is also a violation. And
the violations are all on her though, because he's
no, it is all on her. That's why I said when I saw the second time, I didn't really blame the guy.
Hey, Sung was
he just a simp?
Yeah, he a simp. Now I do like I did tell my girl
respectfully.
I did tell my girl I do want like just a 5 to 10 minute future clip of him explaining to his ex-girlfriend, hey, I can marry you now because I went to America to get closure with a girl I never dated or touched. I just need that conversation. I
don't think he should get. Wait, did he break up with his girl to specifically visit?
No, I think
no.
They talked about. She asked him why he didn't want to marry her, and he was like certain circumstances weren't met, and he was basically like he was coming up with reasons for him to not marry her. And I was like, no, you're in your head. You're probably just like, no, she's just not her.
Mm-hmm.
I would like if they do a follow-up where we follow him after, like directly after this. Like what would Celine do with Hae-sung after? Like when he goes home, what does he do? I think eventually he'd be like, have to be 100% honest with his ex-girlfriend, but then he'd be like, yeah, I just can't be with you. And maybe we follow his story from there.
Moving on to my next transgressions with Nora. When she starts talking to her husband about him and he's like, oh, you're attracted to him? And then she's like, yeah, he's like tall and masculine. So like, I guess like objectively he's attractive. I don't think so. So I don't know. And then Arthur did like try to question. He's like, are you happy? And if you because I watched it the first time and I rewounded it, and I'm glad I saw it like a second time too. She worded around the question when he asked her if she's happy. She worded around it, like she manipulated the question.
I wish we could talk to someone from like Korea who watch this movie and see what they think, or somebody from just another culture that's not Western who watch this movie.
I'm sure this is everyone's biggest gripe, but when he comes up to the apartment, Arthur speaks to him in Korean. He's been with her. They've been married for 7 years. He's been learning Korean for 7 years. He plays Korean games with her family. Even if he doesn't speak Korean perfectly, over 7 years, like he says things to her in Korean all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He has a basic knowledge of Korean language.
Mm-hmm.
He speaks to you Korean and you said his Korean was good. Mm-hmm. So why in the fuck do you have the thoughts in your head when you're at a bar and you're all like elbow to elbow? Again, he's been married to her 7 years. He knows Korean. You start talking about how, I wonder like what would happen if our
No, that's not on him. That's on her, because she said, why did you come? And he started listing out the reasons.
Yeah.
He answered the question.
How many drinks did they have at that point?
I don't know.
That's on her.
No,
he was a little saucy. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna just let it off.
Arthur, as much as emotionally mature you are, at some point you have to stand up for yourself.
When they pan to his face, Char, when they pan to his face in the bar, and he just like stops, and then he just looks down. He does that weird white. I'm gonna say he does that weird white face when they kind of like uncomfortable and they go like. See, yes, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm not even trying to be rude. Like that's just the face.
I don't care if the guy is built like LeBron James. If you're just saying those sweet nothings to my girl, it's up. It's up. And the fact that she's just like listening in, you're getting this work with him. I'm throwing hands with everybody, and the bartender.
I haven't said anything this entire time because I'm just listening. But this is a woman that has never been checked. In the entire movie, this woman's ego is through the roof. She can say anything. She can do anything. She looked for him. And then tries to bait him into saying how he feels, doing all of this. She initiates every conversation. She looks at him and he responds. This has nothing to do with the guys. I'm sorry. This is all her.
It's all
it's an ego trip for her.
Oh, God.
I'm
sorry. No, that was the only time I was like really mad at Arthur. I was like, Arthur, if you don't smash your glass off of somebody's head, the bartender, the people across the bar, somebody swing on somebody.
Hey, I hopefully after the movie ends and she's done crying, he's like, we need to talk. We have a honest conversation.
I'm filing for divorce.
Like, I understand the closest thing to a villain is her. That's the closest person to a villain, in my opinion.
I don't want to call her a villain, but
I don't want to call her a villain. But at the same time, like
she crossed lines.
She crossed lines that she was with the right person, man. Because I feel like so many other directors could have taken that the wrong way. Where let's just say Arthur does lose his mind and gets mad at her. Let's just say even after the trip when he's gone and he gets mad at her, we'll be like, we get it. We absolutely get it. Why Arthur is like, it wasn't just the fact that you was asking this dude, talking to him in Korean, and you asked him the most loaded question when he was basically at his most vulnerable mentally because we were drinking. It was just the fact that you did, first of all, you did that in front of me. You did that in Korean. Like it's like we spent 7 years together. Did none of that matter to you at that moment?
Does she love Arthur?
I feel like she loved him, but she settled. I feel like she felt that she settled. I'll
say this. I think she loves the things that he brings to her in terms of emotional maturity, but she does not love him.
I don't think she loves him. She's
definitely not in love with him. She's not in love with him at all, but she loves what he brings.
He was the first thing after, because I'm sorry, like that whole.
He's the nice guy. No. Let's keep it a buck. He's the nice guy. He's a nice guy. It's
not just a nice guy, Random.
That's the first guy that gave her attention when they broke up.
Exactly. She was really down.
The rebound.
Yeah, she was the rebound. She was looking for the next thing, and then she just stuck to it like glue because it just ended up working. It ended up working, and she just stuck with it.
But it's also, and no flags, please. I'm gonna put this out in the airways. So where's she from? Korean?
South Korea,
yeah.
South Korean. Immigrant here.
She said she immigrated to Canada and then immigrated here. She said
that they got married faster than they wanted to because of her green card.
A lot of times, Korean Asian immigrants will marry white people. That's why they change their name to white names, because they want to assimilate to the culture. I don't think she loves him. I think he provides status and assimilation to Western culture.
Yeah.
And that's what
he's perfect. He's the perfect he's a perfect blankie for her.
Mm-hmm.
He's the perfect blankie for her, man. Like
Not,
she knows she can come home. He's gonna like some days he's gonna rub her feet, but he's always gonna be there. When she has a bad day, he's there. When she has a good day, he's there. Like anything she's ever going to need, she knows Arthur will provide it for her.
Like a puppy. He's a glorified puppy.
Which is a shame because it's like give that guy that actually truly loves him. It's a shame because he really loves her, man. He really cares for her.
It truly is, but unfortunately, and I say this about me and my wife all the time, like we are both Dominicans. We both grew up in the Virgin Islands. We literally are the same in terms of culture. And that's a connection that I wouldn't have with another female. Like if I came to Texas where I'm at now and I met someone here just strictly from Texas, we don't have that cultural connection. And that's what she has with him. And when he leaves, you see that like I won't have that kind of connection. That's why I think she cries when she sees Arthur and hugs him.
What would y'all do?
He hugs her.
What would y'all do, Shar included, if your spouse was in a like that type of situation? I'm like, why are you touching me?
No, it's like, you know what? No, you know, I would give her I would be the shoulder as soon as she walks in. Hey, I need to leave for a little bit.
You know what the situation reminded me of though, Shar? That only you know about? Girl from New York that does not need to be named. Yeah. Get mad, just think about it. Just get mad, just think about it. I'm thinking of a situation like that with her and Taylor. If me and that girl ended on good terms, I couldn't put Taylor in that type of situation. I couldn't. If me and that girl ended on good terms and we were still cool and I was with my, and then like she came down, no, I couldn't do that. I couldn't take her to the places I take Taylor. I couldn't.
But that
have those type of
I think that also goes to show like the difference in culture. That's why I'm saying that connection, because she, like, even when they were in bed and he was asking, do you find him attractive? The way she was answering those questions, it was like she was just completely oblivious. Like if the shoe was on the other foot, if I'm terrible with names. Not Arthur, the other guy.
Haesung.
If Haesung was in the bed with her, there is no way she would respond that way. Because she understands that in that culture or in people that share similar cultures, they just won't speak that freely when you have that kind of connection. The reason she's able to talk to Arthur that way is because there is a divide that he will never be able to fill or connect with her. She's a villain.
Also, before the Uber came, like that, like just long tension moment, I was like, they're about to make out.
No. I never. By the way, I never got that tension between them two, like that romantic where they're gonna get physical.
I thought someone was gonna cry more than kiss.
Yeah. It was just like a long tension scene. I was like, why is this so long?
I think the one thing was it felt like this was their, because he's leaving and they're probably never going to see each other again. That long tension was like, just say it. Both of you, just say it and get it out there and then just leave. But they didn't. And Haesung, by the way, I think I'm going to say this too, because obviously I think Arthur is the best character in this movie, the best performance in the movie. But Haesung should also be commended, the guy who plays him. He's never rude to her, for real. He does act cold to her sometimes, right? Like, for instance, like when he finds out that she's leaving to go to Canada and he just like, have a nice life. I'm like, yeah, he's a kid. I feel like another kid would handle that very differently. But even when he's there, and the last thing he says to her before she's like, you're always the one that leaves. And that's when she cries. When he gets in the Uber, and that's when she cries. Because that's true. She did leave when she went to Canada. She did leave when they started talking again. And now she's leaving kind of now, even though obviously this time it's because she's fucking married, right? And it always felt like, I don't know what Hae-sung was truly trying to accomplish, because I don't think he was going there to be like, come home with me. Like, I feel like a Western
that was
movie
his
would
intention
do.
either.
Yeah, I don't think he would be like, fuck that dude, come home with me. Because I feel like we've watched plenty of movies, American movies, that would do that, because that's what would add tension here in the West.
What do you think would happen if he did say that though?
I don't
think she would leave right away, but I think that would cost.
I'd say this. I'd say this. She would say no. She would say no.
Thinking about it.
I think she would say no, and then maybe like a month from now, Arthur would come home and her ring's on the table and she's gone.
I think that would ruin the movie if he said that.
That's what makes it perfect. Because I think Hae-sung was basically just like, this is it. Because I think he also understood that he found no, because this one thing, I think he found his sense of closure where he could start trying to move on. I think he's legitimately like, because if he does see her again, at that point, I expect him to be like, he's fully moved. Maybe he's found his person.
I think if they do come to Korea, he's not gonna contact them.
No.
He's not gonna
I'd say he's done. He's done.
Because she also did say, like, when they were in Korea, she emailed him and he didn't respond. He's like, yeah,
he understands she's not good for him. He just knows she's not good for him anymore.
I think he came to the realization at that Uber, because I think the entire time he was always just like, pick me. I know we want this. Just pick me. And she kept leaving him. So he was literally
girl from New York, Char. Girl from New York. Oh, I'm just getting mad now. As someone that has experienced non-closure situations, it is the most frustrating and infuriating thing. Also, for the people around you, can ask Char, because Char was also very frustrated with this experience. Well,
you don't get mixed messages every 5 fucking seconds.
Because even Char at one point was just like, can y'all do something? Something needs to happen. But
I think that's why I think maybe we can just focus on Korea. That's why Korean relationships are like, when I read a Korean romance manhwa, I'm like so frustrated because it's not happening as quickly as I wanted to. And but reading more and more of them, you learn to be more patient, because like this is really a journey, because like even the idea, I wonder how the concept of a last stand works over in South Korea. But it's like, it just takes its time, and it's so frustrating. But I think a lot of American romance filmmakers could learn from this movie. They really could. The idea of building that consistent tension where every time you saw Nora and Hae-sung together, you were like,
it's love. It's literally it's palpable.
The music also. Why the fuck would every time they separated, you play melancholy music, but when they're together, the music's happy as fuck?
The idea of that, what was it? What was the Korean word that they said? Inyeon? Inyeon or something like that.
Yeah.
And the idea of like fate
or providence.
Like that it was like, I feel like fate, this is the one universe where they don't end up together. You know what I mean?
The one
universe where they don't end up together. And like the it feels like that Celine Young is letting us know this is the one where they don't end up together. Maybe they take the chance at 23 or at 24 and they let each other know, and then they start making moves to whether he moves there or he moves to her or she goes to him, and they just start their lives together. But this is the one, and it just sucks that the one victim here, no, that's not the two victims here are the two guys that she talks to. Arthur's the bigger victim, but Hae-sung's a victim in his own right, and he's finally cutting off. He's finally free. But after this,
free elf.
Arthur has so much to unpack with her, and that's the one thing. The movie is only 1 hour and 40, like 1 hour and 40, a little bit over an hour and a half. And I was like, I want to see what happens the day after. I need to see it, but we never will. And I think that's the point of the movie.
I think that's the exact point, because like you said, the victim of this movie is the two guys, but Young got terrible with his name. Give
Hae
me his
Sung,
name
Hae
again.
Sung.
Hae Sung. Hae Sung gets closure. Arthur now has to go his entire marriage knowing that I will never connect with you like this.
The best part was that he was smart enough to understand that I can't go these places with both of them. He would have been crushed. Just how they talked to each other on that ferry, how they were just kind of going through this. Like,
No, if he was a fly in the wall throughout the whole situation.
The fact that the PlayStation 5 is like the Naruto ramen guy for him is so clutch. The fact that he knew that it was smart enough for him to stay home was crazy, because
that saved their marriage. If he was there the whole time.
If he was there the whole time, like just watching him in the back as they would talk or whatever, because there were times where, like, do they understand that Arthur's right there? Like, he's right there.
They don't care. But closing thoughts for the thing. If you watch this movie and you really connect with Nora, you probably shouldn't be with your spouse.
And also
I almost called you on Discord, Shar, the first time Lani told me. I'm like, we need to have a conversation. Because
my issue wasn't with.
No, her issue wasn't with that.
My issue was with him saying that Hae Sung was being disrespectful. I was like, no. Korean culture.
Yeah. When I watched it the second time, I was like, okay.
Respect is the biggest thing. He would absolutely not be doing anything to disrespect the husband, because he literally said he liked the husband. He said, it upsets me how much I like your husband.
Oh, is John right there? Hi, John.
So
we're almost done.
But also, the way Arthur laid on her in that bed was hilarious.
Oh, weird. Cock in his own relationship.
Random, any closing thoughts?
This is a movie that I feel like I'll watch on and off for years, and I'll still keep learning something. Like,
if you really want to know about, if you're serious about a girl, put on that movie. See,
this is a litmus test.
This is a litmus test.
Great movie.
Like for instance, I recommended this to my mom, and she hasn't watched it yet, but she will. And I'm so curious to see because I wonder how old, like, different generations would watch this movie and what they would see also. So I understand this is not going to win. I think it's not going to win. Even though I don't think it's ever going to win. But the fact that we've talked about this more than any other movie on the list should tell you something.
No, it was great. I really am looking forward to the director's next films and stuff like that. I feel like
what a debut by her.
Amazing debut. So
female directors.
You keep making stuff like this, you'd be winning Oscars in no time. For fact, the first movie is in the Best Picture nomination category. It's crazy. Off the bat, you giving us that's like freaking, I don't know. Give me a rapper dropping their first album right now. And it's in the album of the year conversation with, like, Drake and Kendrick and
well, they typically don't end up being in the album of the year because they end up in Best New Artist.
That's what I'm just saying. Like, you make something that good that is like your Best New Artist and album of the year. That's like,
you have to get acknowledged. I get it. So now I want everyone to name their top 5 movies in order. And then we're going to try to come with a consensus of what number 1 is, or if we can't, not a consensus of what number 1 is, what we think is going to win Best Picture. But yeah, Santo, let's start off with you. What's your top 5 from 5?
Top 5.
Yeah, look at the list.
Yeah, let me pull up the list, because I just want to be sure.
I can say my 5 if you want.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
It's Poor Things. Poor Things is my 5.
Yeah, Poor Things at 5. Okay.
Oh, do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, like you list your top 5.
Top 5.
Poor Things at 5. Killers of the Flower Moon at 4. You know what? It's just because Anatomy of a Fall is 3, and this is with my heart. This is in my heart. The more and more I think about it, Oppenheimer is 2, and I understand they wouldn't have the balls to do it, but Past Lives is 1. The fact that I've watched Past Lives, and I obviously twice, and I've had these things, and I've watched so many different YouTube things to just see what other people have thought about it. And the fact that I look at Arthur and I'm like, I hope by like time I'm like 60, I'm just as emotionally mature as you are. Because to just, oh God, that's like your final form right there. That's like you've been with your wife for like 25 years. Your kids are in college. They're starting their lives, and you're like, we're about to retire, baby. That's where that guy is at. He's just in his late 30s. So that's my thing. And I want to I originally had Oppenheimer but I also think it's just because of my historical love bias that is, but I have to be 100% honest. I enjoyed Past Lives the most.
Anyone else ready?
Yeah,
Okay.
mine.
Oh, go ahead, Jar.
Killers of the Flower Moon at 5. Barbie at 4. Holdovers at 3. Past Lives at 2, and Oppenheimer is 1.
Okay. Santo.
Okay. And are we going objective, or are we going with our hearts? Or it doesn't matter?
It's your personal top 5.
Yeah, personal.
Okay.
It's your personal top 5. Objective, I put Oppenheimer at 1, but this is my heart now. What are we talking about?
Okay. If we're talking with our hearts, I have Oppenheimer at 5. I have American Fiction at 4. I have Maestro at 3 because of my music nerd.
Do it.
Poor Things at 2. Past Lives at 1.
Woo!
Like, we can literally go another hour talking about Past Lives.
Low-key shit, I might do a watch over on the Discord.
Like,
Char, let's just watch it again.
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
Not tonight,
This-
but let's just watch it again. Like
this is the first romance movie that I've ever felt like this. And Poor Things is an amazing movie. But in terms of what a movie made me feel, Past Lives is there. So Past Lives at 1.
that's my benchmark now for romance.
So I'm a very objective person, but so I made just two set. I made an objective and a heart list. My objective list is the Zone of Interest at 5, Maestro at 4, Killers of the Flower Moon at 3, Poor Things at 2, and then Oppenheimer. No, Did I get that right?
Well, you wrote, it's your list. I thought you wrote them down.
I did not write it down.
You always write them down.
Your memory is
Zone of
bad.
Interest at 5, Maestro at 4, American Fiction at 3, Killers of the Flower Moon at 2, and Oppenheimer at 1. Poor Things would be number 6.
Wow.
Now, in terms of enjoyment, or just like my heart, Barbie at 5, Maestro at 4, Poor Things at 3, American Fiction at 2, and Past Lives at 1. Just the rage I was just able to feel. The rage I was just able to feel with Past Lives.
You were big mad talking to me about Past Lives.
I was pissed because it just brought me like this.
The first thing Lani said to me when we started talking about Past Lives, he's like, I wish my girl would. And I felt that from his heart.
Yo, I
felt
really
that. It's amazing. Past Lives, Like that's why I legitimately think I hope because every year we get that obligatory Christmas romance movie. Look at Past Lives. Just look at it.
It brought like a feral rage to me,
Like,
for like in some instances. Because there were times I was just looking at Arthur, I was just like, do something.
Stand up for yourself, bro. We
right
respect you, bro.
I think there was one time I paused. I was like, the only award you're winning is Cut to the Year award. That's what I wanted. That's how I felt at one point. I was just like, you can't just let them treat you like this. Because when he was just at the bar, just taking it, just listening in, I was just like, I could never imagine myself just listening to someone talk to my wife like that. I don't care how respectful they were. I can't let, as my partner, like, you know me as my, like, our boundaries, like, but it's just a common respect and decency for your spouse. I can't, like, just let, what? No, I was just like, I couldn't. It couldn't be me. I literally, because, like, there are times where it's like, I feel like I can do anything. I can go through anything. I cannot go through what Arthur went through at that bar. I literally could not. You couldn't pay me $1 million to just sit there while someone talks to my spouse like that and expect me not to have a reaction and just to make a face. Nah.
And what's crazy is that in the opening scene,
I'm too crazy.
In the opening scene, when the people watching and you're getting their POV, no one ever mentions that Arthur is with the person. Like, he's just the add-on.
They don't guess that that's the husband at all.
No, if you see me with my wife, you know that she's my wife. Like, and they don't even, he's like an afterthought. Like,
the only reason why you wouldn't know that my girl's because she's a energy hamster that's running around bouncing off the walls everywhere. Ask Shar.
Yeah.
Like, where's your girl? Across the place, somewhere, yelling. Go find her.
The fact, I wonder if that guy should really be in the best supporting actor. At least he should get a nod and a nomination for what he did.
They both had equal impact to me. So, like, even though it's not a thing, I would make them both, like, as one role, like the simp role, like the simp people from the movie, like, and the supporting actor. That's what I would do. But
real quick before we leave, what do you think that honest conversation they're going to have afterwards is like between Nora and Arthur?
If we're being honest, I feel like they don't have a conversation that night.
No, I don't think they have a conversation.
I feel it gets swept under the rug. I feel like
talk about it. There's no way Arthur doesn't sweep it.
I feel like if he tries to talk about it, she does what she did when he asked questions before. She tries to word herself around.
This is what I'm gonna say. I think when he was there, Arthur couldn't really get to the business. With how emotionally mature he is, I don't think he sweeps this under the rug. Whether or not he's like, I think we need to go see a marriage counselor, or we need to have an honest conversation. There's just no way he sweeps it, man. He just couldn't have that conversation while he was there.
I think that we all acknowledge that he's emotionally mature. But what I think happens is that she goes into the room, closes the room, and Arthur is at the door. Just there, sits down and plays his PS5 in complete sadness while she's in the other room crying. He doesn't initiate the conversation. He just waits for her to talk again.
If she decides to talk.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Now that he's gone and he's at his safest,
it would be up for. But look how he acted throughout the whole film. I don't think it would be up for.
I don't think he could have had that conversation about him while he was there in the country. I don't think he could have.
Is that he's not going to have the conversation because he knows the answer to the question. He knows that he can't connect with her. He knows that she loves him.
They need to have a conversation. They really do. If we get, let's just say we get a sequel, and maybe we're following Hae-sung and they run into each other. Let's just say 5 years later, and Hae-sung's married.
We're not gonna get a sequel.
No,
I'm just saying a hypothetical.
It would have to be 12 years later to stick with the theme.
Okay, let's say 12 years later. So now what? They're in their mid 40s, or
They're 48.
She has
or
kids.
they're late. So they both have
The
kids.
same
No,
happens.
no way. No, I would be
100%.
disappointed, Hey Sung, if the same thing happens.
The same thing happens. Hey Sung has
way.
his wife. He has his wife and whatnot, and they meet each other, and you feel the same tension.
Hey Sung left. The way he left was like, this is it.
Yeah, there's not gonna be a next time. Like, I'm sorry, she's being left on red from now on.
This is what happens. They meet up by accident. Maybe she's like taking their kids to South Korea to experience her culture, and they run into each other. And I think Hey Sung is 100% like, we good. I'm out. No way. No, because at that point, his wife, who will presumably be a Korean, like, ain't no his wife just sitting there watching this girl flirt with her husband.
I agree, but I think it's the same exact thing. That little monologue, like, a little brush of the jacket or whatnot, and you're just in young. That happens.
He knows now. He knows now. Ain't no way.
He knows that she didn't pick him. But if she shows up where he's at and she initiates that,
nah.
His character in the entire movie, he's just wanting to be picked, and she finally picks him. He's very key on that in young thing. He's like, now is the timeline that we're finally meant to be together.
If anything, I'd like to see if she picks him. He says no this time. He's like, no.
I would like that too.
You had your chance. I got kids now. We chilling. She's my in young now. I don't know.
But like, final thoughts from any final thoughts from any of the other movies?
Oppenheimer was great. It was definitely better than Barbie in my opinion, but you know, Barbie probably appealed to the masses more than Oppenheimer. So,
well, appealed to people with vaginas.
Sure, let's go with that. I mean, Barbie was good. It was good, but Oppenheimer.
I'll say this: Barbie was more necessary than Oppenheimer was.
Sure.
Sure.
Sure. I'm not gonna fight it because I
don't think it's a conversation. I think it's.
I wasn't when I watched Barbie. I wasn't thinking about what I guess Barbie what other people were thinking about when they're watching Barbie. So that's why I'm saying sure. I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
Yeah, I had a different perspective as well. Carey Mulligan, if she doesn't win Best Actress, it's a crime because she bodied that role in Maestro. That's my thought about the other movies.
Yeah, let me look at these.
Maestro is definitely underrated. Netflix really got a gem with that one. American Fiction is needed for everybody.
Hey, I'm gonna watch that.
Melanin or not, I feel like everyone should watch American Fiction. And like I said, yeah, high school, college kids, like they should be not required, but they should be shown Zone of Interest. I feel like that's also needed for America or the state of the world these days. I feel like Zone of Interest was a very necessary movie. Well, also, in Anatomy of Fall, she did it.
You put Robert Downey Jr. down. Let me stop.
Robert Downey Jr. was also. Oh, that's one thing we didn't talk about. Oppenheimer. Robert Downey Jr. was phenomenal.
That whole movie is fucking stacked with phenomenal actors. Every time someone popped on the screen, I'm like, this bitch is good. It can't be bad. It can't get.
Them motherfuckers were stacking the actor Avengers, bro. Relax, Christopher. Please relax. We get it.
Infinity Stones.
That's
bro.
People.
You pulled out your bag for this movie. Please.
People just want to work with Nolan. Like Robert Downey doesn't have to do another film in his life.
He making them Marvel royalties forever.
All right, but that's it for the episode. Thanks for anyone that's watching. And yeah, I will be coming out with more movie content in the future.
Go watch all these movies, but start with Past Lives so you can have a conversation with your significant other for real.
Yeah, he got it right. That's the litmus test right there. Past lives is the litmus
If
test.
you like
Past lives.
Nora,
You're about to take the girl to meet
men.
you're about to take the girl to meet your parents. Have her watch Past Lives.
Past lives.
All right. Thanks, guys.